Ben Shapiro is the host of the Ben Shapiro Show. So, Ben, how do you think the Democrats are handling the election and the aftermath?
Well, I mean, not well. And when you're boarding up your stores in preparation for what looks like Trump Passover, right? If you put the proper Harris Walls signage on your store, then the God of destruction will not visit upon you. Right. And that's never a particularly good look. And the levels of panic are off the charts. And that speaks where they think this election is already. I mean, they think that this election is already trending in Donald Trump's favor. If they didn't think that, they wouldn't be doing precisely what it is that they are doing right now. It's funny. A lot of the headlines right now are all about how they're preparing for Donald Trump rioters. Really, in Washington, D.C., we're back to the Jussie Smollett story now. All these MAGA-hatted voters in Washington, D.C. burning down stores. The panic is palpable, and it's coming largely from one side.
Do you think they're prepared for a Trump victory? I sometimes like to believe that maybe they'll coalesce and help the country return to normalcy, maybe restore the borders, maybe stop spending so much money. Or is this just going to be a bloodthirsty ghoul fest on day one?
Oh, Jesse, you sweet summer child, you. What do you think?
I know Pelosi's going to raid the Capitol with the spear and nunchucks. I get it. But, like, the rest of the country has to say, we put this guy in there for a reason if that happens tomorrow. No,
well, this is the
nothing.
Thing. All Americans want, all they want, all Americans want is normalcy. That's all they want. And in fact, in 2020, that's what they thought they were getting when they elected Joe Biden, which is why he started in office with an approval rating in the high 50s. And then he immediately sank because it turns out both he was not normal and his administration was not normal. What they were providing was not normalcy. This is why what they're talking about right now, the American people in electing Donald Trump, is a return to normalcy, meaning a solid economy, no foreign wars, anti-wokeness, a regulatory state that actually makes sense, lower taxes. All people want is not to think about this stuff anymore. So if Democrats make the mistake of running up against Donald Trump's normalcy agenda, and make no mistake, what Donald Trump is running as right now is a normal, moderate candidate. Now, that doesn't mean that he doesn't say things. Everybody knows that he says things. He's Trump. But that's not the same thing as his agenda. His agenda is what Americans are looking for by every available poll, by the way. And so if they stand in the way of that agenda, they're going to pay the price at the ballot box next time, too.
He's running as the rich, stern grandfather, and a lot of people respect that. When you see the narcissism of people taking out insurance policies, Democrats, because they might have to lawyer up because Trump's going to throw them in Gitmo, or I don't know, the lengths they're going to insult people, their own voters, Ben, psychologically, what does that tell you?
I mean, it tells me they think that they're losing. Kamala Harris's team has put out a couple of ads in the course of the last 72 hours. One was to women and one was to men. For women, it was, you need to hide from your husbands exactly how you're voting. You need to secretly vote for Kamala Harris. And then, in case you missed it, they said to men, you need to hide from the other men that you're voting for Kamala Harris. What does it say about a campaign when they're saying to their prospective voters, guys, we know you have to keep it a secret. We know everyone wants you to vote Trump, but secretly you're allowed to vote for Kamala. Here's the thing. I've heard a lot of people in this election make a case for Trump, right? I'm one of them. I've heard many people make a case against Trump. I have yet to hear anyone make a case for Kamala Harris. Anyone. No one can make a case for this woman. She has not made a case for herself. Tim Walz has not made a case for her. Joe Biden will not make a case for her. There is no case for Kamala Harris. There's just pro-Trump and anti-Trump. And I really wonder whether anti-Trump gets you all the way across the finish line with a candidate on the other side like Kamala Harris.
Well, if she can't make a case for herself, why should other people? And she doesn't even talk about the last 4 years. She doesn't talk about the next 4 years, the last 4 years. She just talks about Donald Trump. Do you get a sense sometimes, and we talked about this right after the coup, that this was just to stop the bleeding down ballot? This was maybe to save the House, maybe stop the bleeding in the Senate, and just prevent a wipeout? Because after that debate, we were looking at a wipeout down ballot with Biden as the nominee. Do you still see it this way? Because she's knocking on doors at 8:30 at night in Pennsylvania.
I mean, I think that everything that she's doing right now is a desperation move. I mean, she herself was a desperation move. It's why she's spending time in places with competitive Senate races that may not be competitive for her on the presidential level. She's really allocating resources oddly for a candidate who theoretically, according to her, is up. I mean, her campaign is claiming right now that she is not only going to win tomorrow night, she's going to sweep tomorrow night. Yeah. That is not the way her campaign is behaving.
No. I think we can read the tea leaves, those of us who can read. Ben Shapiro, good to see you. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.